So let's go through some examples finding all of the trig ratios when given a right triangle and its sides. So again, I want to remember SOHCAHTOA, so sine equals opposite over hypotenuse, cosine equals adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent equals opposite over adjacent, SOHCAHTOA. So first I want to find the sine of A. So I'm going to go to this triangle, and my very first thing is I want to label my hypotenuse because that is more likely going to be confused with my adjacent side. So I look here, my hypotenuse, it's the longest side. It's also the side opposite of my right angle. So that means the 61 here is my hypotenuse. So I know with sine of A, that's my SO here, so it's opposite over hypotenuse. So I want to go to angle A, and I want to find my opposite side. So I want to draw an arrow, and I see that the side opposite of angle A is 11. And then I already labeled my hypotenuse as 61. Okay, now let's look at cosine of A. Well, I know cosine is my ca here, and that's adjacent over hypotenuse. Well, if I look at A, and I look at the side adjacent to it, that isn't my hypotenuse, that is the 60. So this would be 60 over my hypotenuse, which is 61. And then tangent of A, I know for my TOA part, that's opposite over adjacent. And so I know my adjacent side is that side right next to it. That's not the hypotenuse, so that's 60 over my opposite, which is 11. Okay, now let's try off the same things, but now I'm going to do it from angle C. So first I'm going to keep this labeled as my hypotenuse. Looking from C. You can also go ahead and just start with writing in your different sides just based on C. So I already labeled my hypotenuse. The side opposite of C is 60. And that leaves 11 as my adjacent side. So I know with sine, that's opposite of our hypotenuse. Well, my opposite side I labeled as 60. My hypotenuse is 61. Cosine, I know, is adjacent over hypotenuse. Well, I labeled my adjacent as 11. And then my hypotenuse is 61. And then my tangent of C, I know, is opposite over adjacent. Well, my opposite is 60 over my adjacent, which is 11. Which I realized I made a mistake over here. This should have said 11 over 60. And so I noticed back with looking at some patterns, I see that sine of A and cosine of C, those are both 11 over 61. Cosine of A and sine of C are both 60 over 61. And then tangent of A and tangent of C, same numbers, but just flip-flopped. Okay, pause the video, go ahead and try and do number 2. Okay, so these are the answers that you should have gotten. Again, just to kind of re-explain the process I went through, when I was doing all of my J's, I circled my J angle. I first looked to see which one's the hypotenuse, and I labeled that as the 25, since that's the side opposite of that right angle. I then labeled my opposite side by drawing an arrow from J and seeing which side is opposite of it. And then that remaining side is my adjacent. And then I use those labels to then write in my ratios.